Hello, I'm Michelle Christ, and we're going for no with Richard Fenton and Andrea Waltz. Chapter 27, Celebrating Success and Failure. Eric, you said there were two things leaders can do to create outrageous success. What's the second? I asked. The second is to reward people for their failures, not just their successes, he responded. Everyone runs over to congratulate people for their sales success, but how often do we get out of our way to congratulate people for their failures? Virtually never, I said. Exactly. In the book, The Greatest Management Principle, author Michael LeBeau says quite accurately that if you don't get what you beg for, wish for, or pray for, you get what you reward. Well, if you truly believe that seeing lots of potential customers ultimately leads to success, and you want that behavior to continue, then you should reward the behavior of seeing lots of people, regardless of the immediate result. Don't get me wrong. I'm all in favor of rewarding people for their successes, but not to the exclusion of recognizing people who've displayed a true willingness and wantingness to fail. You mustn't neglect them just because their yeses haven't fallen into place yet. At CopyQuest, we recognize the top 10 salespeople with a Producer's Pin Award, Eric continued, but we also recognize the 10 salespeople in the organization with the greatest number of failed attempts with what we call the Go for No Award. And, if I recall correctly, Cheryl and Kurt made both lists. It's funny, Cheryl said, but Go for No trophy meant more to me than the Producer's Pin. Really? I said in disbelief. Yeah. The Producer's Pin was recognition of my external achievement, but the Go for No trophy was validation of my internal desire. I feel the same way, said Kurt. And besides, we get recognized for our production every week via our paychecks. What's interesting, Eric said, is that we thought we were creating two separate awards, but over time, they're becoming almost mirrors to each other. That's because we've caught on to the concept that winning a Go for No award almost assures that you'll end up with a Producer's Pin. Or put another way, Kurt concluded, yes is the destination, no is how you get there. Chapter 28, The Blink of an Eye. The helicopter touched down on the roof of Moscone Center in the heart of downtown San Francisco, where the annual conference for the International Society of Sales Executives was being held. We were greeted and then quickly escorted to a small green room where speakers prepared and relaxed before taking the stage. How many people are going to be in the audience? I asked our escort. About 3,000, he responded. I immediately looked to Eric, who managed to smile in spite of a certain nervousness he must have been feeling. I had never spoken to a group any larger than 20 people. I could only imagine the butterflies my twin was attempting to get into formation. Our escort left to go check on things, leaving Eric and me alone in the green room. You look deep in thought, I observed. Last-minute review? I was just deciding what my final story should be. I think I'm going to talk about something that happened yesterday afternoon when I was in the office. Anything you'd like to share? Sure. I had a salesman call me trying to sell me some permanent retirement property. Permanent retirement property? What in the heck does that mean? I asked. It's the politically correct way of saying grave site in the year 2000. Anyway, I told him no thank you and hung up. 10 minutes later, he called me back and said, You know, Mr. Breton, your time on planet Earth is little more than a blink of an eye. But your time afterward, that is forever. That's a pretty good sales pitch. What did you say? Let me put it this way. You and I are going to be spending eternity with Elaine, permanently retired, on a beautiful hillside at Forest Lawn. He laughed. The whole experience made me think about how people say they want to go out a success. Have you ever heard the saying, I want to go out a winner? All the time. I've said it myself. I've said it too, but I just realized how silly that is. Statistically speaking, if you're still challenging yourself until the day you die, then the odds are good that you'll fail at every last thing you attempt. Imagine that. The last act of the most successful people in the world will be to fail. I've accomplished a lot already, Eric, my twin continued, but I'm only 38. I figure I've still got another 40 years left in me. Maybe more. in which to do great things. God only knows what successes are in our future, but I'm 100% certain that whatever they may be, the only way to achieve them will be to continue risking, taking chances, and showing outrageous courage. The escort returned and led us up some stairs to the side of the stage just as Eric was being introduced to the audience. We climbed to the top of the stairs, my body double and I, and it was then that he leaned over and spoke softly in my ear. It was so soft that I could barely hear him over the roar of the crowd that was starting to welcome him. I don't think that your showing up here has happened by chance. I think you have been given a gift, the chance to see what your life could be if you want it badly enough. But I'm not sure I'm as good as you, I responded. Oh, Eric, you still don't get it, do you? I'm not better than you. I am you. The you you're supposed to be. I'm the vision of your potential, providing of course, that you're willing to do what it takes. Yes, this has been a gift to you, a gift I need you to accept. He placed his arms around me and hugged me close. As he did, I understood what he was saying. He was the potential of me, and as such, he needed me to overcome my self-imposed limitations, or he would never exist. Eric broke our embrace and headed towards the center of the stage to address the cheering crowd that awaited his message, a message that would change their lives forever if they would allow it, and a message that I knew could change mine as well. Just then, a man wearing headphones tapped me on the shoulder. Excuse me, but the cameraman said, he's getting you in the shot. You need to move off the stairs. Sure, I replied, but as I turned, the heel of my shoe caught the stair and I lost my balance. And as I fell in slow motion off the stairs toward the floor below, all I could think was, not again. Chapter 29. Dorothy Goes Home. The first thing I remember was hearing Elaine tell someone yes. She still wanted to talk with Dr. Weiss again, and yes, she remembered that she had met with him just last night, and yes, she realized that it was Sunday morning. The girl did not take no for an answer easily. The second thing I remember was feeling a slow throbbing behind my right ear. I opened my eyes to find myself lying in a hospital bed, Elaine deep in conversation with a nurse, and Carl sitting nearby reading a People magazine. Aren't you supposed to be counting beans somewhere? I said to Carl. It's the middle of tax season still, isn't it? Carl looked up from his magazine, and Elaine spun around, running to the side of the bed, tears welling up at her eyes. I was so worried, was all she could manage. What day is it? I asked. Sunday. Somehow or other, you fell out of bed, hit your head early Thursday morning. I've been out for 4 days, I said in disbelief. Yep, doctor thinks you hit the nightstand first, and then the floor. The double impact gave you a serious concussion. We've all been worried sick, Carl said with a relieved smile. The nurse returned and took my pulse and other vital signs, informing us that everything appeared normal and the doctor would be in shortly. In the meantime, she said I should rest. For the next 20 minutes, I recounted the entire story of waking up 10 years in the future and meeting myself, about what I had learned and the realizations I had had about my career and my life. I even told Carl about the round of golf I shot at Pebble Beach. He said it sounded wonderful, and that we should make plans to play there together soon. After tax season, of course. As we waited for the doctor to arrive, I suddenly remembered the page I'd ripped from the book. But the ensuing search for my proof turned up nothing. It all seemed so real. It was impossible to believe it was a dream. But that's all it had been. Nothing more than a dream. Epilogue. 6 months later. September is often the hottest month of the year in Southern California, and this year was no exception. I hopped out of the Cutlass, glanced at my watch, grabbed my briefcase, and headed quickly towards the entrance of the Callaway Golf corporate headquarters. My notes indicated I had called on the golf club Giant 4 previous times and had collected a total of 17 no's from 3 different people. Since returning to work, following my concussion, I had claimed the number 1 ranking in overall sales 3 of the last 5 months and was in serious contention for Salesman of the Year. I had earned more money during the last 6 months than I had all of the previous year. The most important statistic, however, the one I was proudest of, was my heavy lead in the number of times I had failed to lease a copier. I knew in my heart that as long as I led in that category, nothing can stop me. The receptionist led me to the vice president's office, a man named Robert Merrill. I was greeted, offered coffee, and asked to sit. This was my first meeting with Merrill. I hate to start on a negative note, young man, Merrill began, but you're wasting your time calling on us. We're very happy with our current supplier, and we're locked into a 3-year deal. But you seem determined, so give me your best 15-minute spiel, he said, removing his Rolex and laying it on the desk to let me know I was on the clock. As the allotted time expired, Merrill politely told me no for the second, third, and fourth times. But he said he liked some of what I had had to say, and suggested that I schedule a follow-up with his secretary, adding they weren't as locked in as he might have suggested. It had taken 5 meetings with 4 people plus 21 no's and counting, but the window of opportunity was finally opening, as I knew it eventually would. As I stood to leave, I noticed something that stopped me dead in my tracks. There on the wall was a picture of the 7th green at the La Costa Resort. You play golf? Merrill asked. Not as much as I'd like, but I get out a couple times a month, I said, still staring at the photo. That's the 7th green at La Costa, he said. I'm a member there. We should play. I'll bet this picture was taken from the balcony of your house, just down the hall from the master bedroom, I said with confidence. As a matter of fact, it was. How could you possibly know that? Because I've been there, I wanted to say. Just a guess. It's a wonderful house. I'm going to miss it. You're moving? Oh, not for several years, Merrill replied. I still have a lot I want to accomplish here, but my wife has always had a thing for Scottsdale. That's where we'll retire. I reached into my pocket and pulled out one of my cards. I wrote my home number on the back and handed it to Merrill. When you're ready to sell, don't bother calling a real estate agent. I'm the person who's going to buy your house. You seem certain, Merrill replied. Not just certain, I replied. It's my destiny. Then as I headed for the door, I heard Merrill call out, Wait, you dropped something. I looked down. There, under the chair I'd been sitting in, was a folded sheet of paper. Even before I walked over and picked it up, I knew what it was. It was the page I had ripped from Eric's book. My book. The book I was just beginning to write. What a book, guys. I got a little teary there. Mindset shift, life shift. So glad you guys did this with us. Bye.